All right, everyone, we are back from the break. Hope you all enjoyed that run of Silent Hill 1. Now, this next run, the final run of the night, we're going to be going to Silent Hill 2, but things are a little bit different. This game has been on Hotfix, I think, a good few times. However, within the last time it was on and now, apparently the game got broken way open. I think previously this run was probably about, like, let's say a 2-hour run. Kind of long, but, you know, still fun. But now it's been, like, chopped literally in half, a lot of new tech, and we're going to see that now. Anyway, here's Silent Hill 2 any% New Game Plus with Nyiddle. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Ecdysis. Hey, everybody. My name is Nyiddle. As Ek said, last time this run was shown, I guess on a main GDQ would have been Captain Ezekiel's run at AGDQ 2025, I want to say. And that was when the run was about 2 hours long. But thanks to some pretty crazy stuff that we're going to be getting into very soon, we are now down to like a 50-minute-ish run, roughly, about an hour RTA. So a lot of changes, a ton of stuff that we're going to have to do. There's a lot of softlock potential. Fortunately, I am joined by my good friend XC, who actually found a lot of these glitches. So XC, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is XC. Main labber for this run. Haven't really speedrun before, but this is like the first game I've ever got like interested in, and mainly been labbing out. I don't really run the game, but I know most of the tech in the game and more fine details with it. Yeah,
absolutely. It's been a huge collaborative effort. A lot of people, myself included, all sort of came together, and within 3 months, we kind of revolutionized this run. So I'm going to get it started. We have plenty of time in the intro to explain some stuff. Time will start as soon as I skip this cutscene, so I'll count it down. But yeah, this is going to be a doozy. Buckle up. So I'm skipping the cutscene. 3, 2, and go. Right. So rough overview of the story. Silent Hill 2. We are James Sunderland. We are here because we received a letter from our wife, Mary. Mary is dead, so that's a little odd. James is trying to figure out what's up, and that's the rough gist of it. Looking for wife. This is New Game Plus, so we are going to be doing the dog ending, which arguably is one of the more fun endings. It's also faster than the New Game ending because it skips out on the last 2 bosses. So theoretically, with the strats as they currently stand, this would be the fastest category. So, what's changed? We have developed a new tech. You're going to hear us refer to it quite a lot, called breakout tech. And it actually came to the Discord, I want to say like 4 months ago. Not even necessarily a speedrunner, just kind of a glitch hunter and somebody who was playing the game named Akion showed us a clip of them doing something really interesting by reloading, quick turning, and then interacting with an obstacle. So all throughout the game, there's all these like little vault locations, and you can crawl through walls and underneath things. And essentially at every single one of those, if you combine any of James's animations, it doesn't necessarily have to be reloading, but reloading is the most easy to force. You can use that breakout state to actually clip out of bounds. And during the time that James would normally be doing his like crawling animation or his vaulting animation, James has no collision and he ignores gravity for the most part. So yeah, as you can imagine, that got posted to the Discord and it caused some waves, and we immediately started testing stuff. We literally went through the whole game just at every single possible vault. Those first like few days, first few 48 hours were really exciting because we were finding all sorts of stuff. We were learning that the game really doesn't have as many triggers as we thought. We can bypass a lot of stuff. And I helped find some stuff, but XC helped really lab out and find out some consistent strats, because it's one thing to sort of do a glitch one time and be like, oh, cool, we're on the other side of this wall, that's sweet. It's another thing to be like, how do we do that consistently every single time in the run? We have to do the same exact inputs. We have to be careful about where we're aiming. So all of these skips end up being pretty precise. There's like a certain amount of leeway with some of them just because the animations are longer, but a lot of them, it's like one wrong key press, one wrong move, and you're kind of just trapped in a wall. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, this new breakout tech actually removed a lot of the RNG from the run as well, because we can actually just skip all the RNG checks now.
Yeah, which is pretty great. Yeah, it used to be that the RNG was kind of the biggest pain point in this run in really every category, just because you could be on a really good pace, and then the RNG could theoretically set you back upwards of like 20 seconds, which on a PB pace is not good. Now, it's like better and worse, really, like a blessing and a curse, because now we can soft lock, which is like far worse than maybe getting bad RNG because you're just kind of stuck. However, we don't have to deal with the RNG other than one spot. So, yeah, should explain, we are playing in light action difficulty and hard riddle difficulty. The riddle difficulty is actually optional in the New Game Plus category. It doesn't matter what riddle difficulty you play in. It really, in terms of time save, time loss, we've like debated it back and forth, like maybe a second or two between light puzzle difficulty and hard, riddle difficulty. And for New Game Plus, we always play in light, just because playing in hard in New Game Plus really wouldn't be very different. We're going to use the chainsaw for like everything. And we're really not going to kill a lot of stuff in this run. I think we kill like 8 things, right, by the end of it.
Yeah,
including bosses. So we're going to be skipping some bosses. We're going to be not fighting a lot of enemies. The opening here is pretty standard, pretty vanilla. As soon as we do our first skip, you'll notice that this isn't quite the same Silent Hill 2 remake run that you may have seen before. So we're grabbing our map here, and this whole intro is actually really good. It's really faithful to the OG. I also speedrun a lot of Silent Hill 2 OG, as well as Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, and so I'm a big fan. And when this game first came out, it was kind of a bummer, because it was 2 hours long, and it was still a fun run, but it's really hard to commit to practicing for 4 hours, and then you do one attempt, and it's been 6 hours, right? So it's really nice that we finally have some tech that chopped this run down significantly, and it's skill-based, so it's something that you can get better at. You can learn the muscle memory, you can memorize the angles better. But yeah, coming up to our first skip here, and here is where we are supposed to get the plank and the radio, which are 2 absolute classic items to the Silent Hill franchise, I would say. We're not going to get that. We're going to bypass both of those. This skip doesn't even necessarily save a lot of time. It's like maybe like 20 seconds or so. But it's a really cool skip. And we do it currently in the New Game Plus run. So I'm going to position myself here where I can see the interact, and then I'm going to pull out the chainsaw. And just like that, so we use the animation of James pulling out the chainsaw to quick turn and interact with that little crawl space at the same time. And by doing that, we entered the breakout state. And like I said, in the breakout state, we have no collision. So in the breakout state, we can use our dodges to actually control James's movement. So what I was doing is I was holding sort of left and up diagonal in order to get myself into the right position. And I think XC actually found these setups, right?
That one actually was found by Red Zoro, and this was found by Birch Maverick, this jukebox ship. I think also Red Zoro found this jukebox, but I think he didn't post about it.
So that skip that we did is actually, it's much bigger than it looks. We just skipped, so there's this whole section in the beginning where we have to go do a puzzle. We gotta go get like 3 different key items. You gotta run to an apartment building. You gotta get a button. You gotta do a whole bunch of stuff, and you have to do all of that before you can go get the apartment key and make your way to apartments. We just skipped all of that. It's like 5 minutes, maybe 6, right?
I think it's more. I think it's like around 8.
Around 8, yeah. So
yeah, it's a lot.
So right there, saving 8 minutes within the first 6 minutes of the run. Pretty huge. And obviously, since this is dog ending, we need to go get the dog key. Normally, if we were doing like a restricted run, we would grab this at a different point. But because we never went down this road earlier to go to the record store, we have to get the first half of the dog key here. And unlike the OG, the dog key is actually in 2 parts that you have to combine, which I think threw like 90% of people hunting for the dog ending off the first time, because everybody was expecting it to just be in one piece. But yeah, we're making our way to apartments. So far, so good.
Yeah, I do love how the like combining dock key has become a part of the run as well. Like we are going to be using the combination of the dock key for the run to make one other skip a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Later on in the run.
So yeah, it's really kind of sweet how everybody came together to contribute and work towards optimizing this run. Like within 3 months, dropping an hour off of a game that was out for what, like almost 8 months without any real major tech sort of discovered for it. You know, like it was like a time bomb where it took a while for this tech to be discovered, but once it did, it really like blew up. Sort of changed the whole run and made it a lot more fun, and I would say just like more flashy in general. That being said, a lot of apartments is pretty vanilla. We do have some skips towards the end of apartments, but the earlier parts of apartments are pretty chill, and much like they are in other categories. We are on our way to go get, you just saw we got the flashlight, which is cool. So right now we actually only have the chainsaw and the flashlight because we skipped the radio and the plank. And I really like skipping the radio because it makes a whole lot of noise, like in all these hallways, because there's enemies everywhere, obviously. So it's actually just a little bit more quiet and chill. But we're on our way to go get easily the most powerful weapon in the game. And it's not really powerful because it's like a pistol. In fact, it's pretty weak. It's not very good, and we're only going to use it like twice maybe. It's powerful because once we have the pistol and we can reload, we can effectively break out anywhere. So you saw me doing the breakout by pulling the chainsaw out of my inventory. That's kind of slow. It's kind of clunky to have to go into the inventory to pull out the chainsaw. Or you also saw me, I pulled out the map so that James would put away and then take the chainsaw back out so we could use that animation. All of that is not super optimal. We don't want to have to do that. So theoretically, we could skip the pistol. We've discussed this. But I think the sentiment is like it would make every breakout way harder to do because you would have to do it off of other animations. You could use James healing is one of the animations you can use. The goofy little idle animation where he holds the chainsaw above his head like a maniac. You can break out on that. So really any animation that James is in, other than his default idle animation, you can break out off of that. So pistol definitely the most useful just because it's really easy to set up really fast.
And I think we timed it. It only saves like a couple seconds time because you have to like make this awkward. Yeah, because you have to go this awkward path because you have to go upstairs again. Yeah. So it's not really worth it. If you want to do like weapons only run, then skip all the melee weapons if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually could. You could do absolutely no weapons in the run.
Actually, you're forced to pick up the plank or chainsaw. Well, but you know, either one you have to pick up. Yeah. Yeah.
Plank only, but you don't pick up anything else. That would be the way to go. So, grabbing the pistol here, you're gonna see me reload it. It's kind of important that I don't like reload my remaining ammo because this is how we're gonna be setting up. Oop, I forgot to dash in time. We can normally skip that. This sort of setup with having the ability to reload kind of allows us to do all of the skips. I tried to get a little cheeky one there. You can do these front-facing breakouts where you kind of just glide forward a tiny bit. It saves maybe a second there, and it's actually pretty high risk because if I end up in the counter or in the bench, it's softlock. But yeah, we'll definitely have some front-facing breakouts. I'm gonna try and like not do the super crazy ones. There's like some really small time saves that you can get out of them, but the risk is super high that you're gonna get stuck. We're just gonna keep it to like the major ones and the most important ones, and theater skips, of course.
There was a breakout just earlier that we bypassed, but like that saves 2 seconds, but it's extremely risky. So. Yeah.
12, 13, 7. Oh, hang on. Sorry. 12, 13, 7, 11. Cool. All these puzzles, for the most part, are static, so just a case of memorizing. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, and we only recently figured out that you don't have to go right instantly because you have to go from the right and hit the number 15 first, but you can go left and then go right and do the puzzle that way, so it saves more time because you have to go through less numbers.
Yeah, which actually I've only just started to get used to. So there was a key that we skipped, and the key is for this door, but there's fortunately a crack in the wall here. So we don't really need to, you know, like walls are kind of a suggestion now, now that we have the pistol and we're good to go. So skipping that key maybe saves like 10 seconds. That was actually one of the first skips that I found. And this one also actually I found, although XC I think found a better way to do it. So now we're just gonna dodge backwards. This skips maybe like 10 seconds-ish. I went for a cheeky one there, but we didn't get it.
Yeah, if you hit that, you can see James doing the snake on the floor.
yeah, you get control of James while he's crawling around, so you can like sort of make him break dance and stuff. It's pretty rad. This is a big one. This one I also found, and this one was just kind of on a whim. It was like one of those, I looked at like, I looked at where the pool was in correlation to where that crack in the wall was, and I said, hey, I think we have enough distance that we can get out straight to the pool. So you probably heard, maybe to your right, Eddie is vomiting in the room over there. We're not going to see Eddie until like way later in the run. Eddie, like, we don't even know that Eddie exists yet. And it's kind of amazing. It baffles me that we're allowed to do that. And that's one of those things that I would have thought the game has a trigger and it requires you to see the cutscene in order for you to progress. But actually, no, there's not really many triggers stopping us in this whole run. So that's Eddie's skip. That guy's going crazy. And,
yeah, there's actually only one hard trigger in the apartments that you have to go through, and it's only when you're going to leave the apartments. But we haven't found a way to skip the apartments yet. We're working on it, but there's 2 triggers that we have to avoid, and it's kind of hard.
Yeah, theoretically, there is a possibility that we could skip the entirety of apartments if we could find a way to trigger that. There are like 2 spots, hotel and apartments, where there are some skips that like maybe with enough glitch hunting, maybe with some crowdsourced information. If you're a glitch hunter and you're looking for something that is still kind of like on the cutting edge, this is definitely a good choice. So we're coming to Otherworld Apartments now. We'll do sort of part of this rather vanilla, and then we kind of bust it open and we save a good minute or so on a few skips. But yeah, so far I'm pleased with how clean this is going. Every single time I do a breakout, it is fairly nerve-wracking. Just because I know what can happen. I mean, I've been doing runs of this like kind of nonstop for the last week, month, whatever, and we've seen every possible situation of like where you don't want to end up with James. Like you could end up in these little cages, you could end up halfway between the cages, you could go completely out of bounds into the void. Yeah, more places you don't want to be than do.
Yeah, it's very precise, and it's always like almost always affected by where your camera is facing when you do a breakout. So where your camera is positioned when you interact with the wall, that's a big part of the breakout.
Yeah. Yeah, that and sort of the movement of the actual breakout. Those are probably the 2 kind of hardest things to put into muscle memory. And every breakout is slightly different, so you do have to sort of memorize. There's a nice one there, but I didn't quite get it. You do have to memorize all of the angles that you need to hold and how you have to do stuff. This one coming up here.
Slightly scary.
Slightly scary? Okay,
oh, that's looking nice. Okay, you got it.
Nice. Okay, cool. Okay, so that one skips actually quite a lot and sort of changes how we would do this route. So normally you enter through there, and when you first enter through there, the scaffolding falls behind you. We actually left through the area that you're supposed to enter this area, and the reason I do that, and other runners differ on me on this, is because this way there are like no dudes in these hallways. If you go around the other way, there's like a whole heap and load of enemies that end up sort of in James's way, and I just really think it's more time lost to deal with those guys than just skip it outright. But it's open for debate.
Yeah, the enemies kind of get like activated after you like pull the valve there, so Nyiddle just like runs around so he doesn't have to deal with them. And regarding the window that we went past through, that's actually a autosave spot. So if he would have failed that like breakout there, he would have had to reload the last save because the other save will have been destroyed. Because if you get soft like that, then you cannot reload the save anymore.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it until after we were safe, but yeah, that one's actually one of the scarier ones because the autosave gets made, like XC said, while you're doing the breakout. So if you're in the wall if you do the breakout wrong and you're in the wall, the autosave gets made with you in the wall. And the last autosave is when we first entered Otherworld Apartments. Should also mention, because we're doing these breakouts, we are skipping some of the triggers for the checkpoints. So it's kind of amazing in some spots how it's like, wow, I didn't realize if you fail this, you get sent back like 6 to 8 minutes of progress because we've just skipped all of the auto triggers in the last, or autosaves in the last 6 to 8 minutes. This is a very iconic scene. Good old Poop Hand James.
I do want to mention that the next breakout is going to be the first out of bounds breakout, where we go actually out of the bounds.
Yeah. So coming up here, pretty difficult one. This one probably took maybe the most for me to get consistent. The key is actually killing that dude because we haven't mentioned this yet, but enemies can really mess up your breakout. There's some weird lock-on mechanic thing that happens where James will start orbiting an enemy. Hang on. Oh, we got the old school. Old school. All right, so we have to do a little backup here. We're going to deload the world and wait for James to fall. This might fail, but it's okay. So while we're paused here, this is just a little deload to wait for the world to deload, and hopefully James falls. Oh.
Ooh, being around the wall.
Okay. All right, there's our first soft lock. Got it out of the way. I shouldn't have said I practiced this. I was like, oh man, I'm really good at this one now. It's never a problem anymore. But fortunately, that autosave is right there, so that's cool. We're going to come back through here, kill this guy, and hopefully we get it the way I want, because that actually wasn't quite the setup.
I'm just so precise with it because you have to like press the buttons every single time, but it's very hard to do it like consistently every time. And here we go.
There we go.
That looks
okay. Better. When you get that right, it actually looks really cool because you're just out of bounds for a second and then you dash back inbounds onto the lower floor. That skip saves probably about a minute or so, like 40 seconds to a minute.
It saves a bunch.
And it's kind of unfortunate because you lose about 40 seconds to a minute if you fail it and you have to retry. So it's like you kind of only have one shot in a PB attempt to get that one. Otherwise, you're cutting into your time save. But not bad. Of all the ones to fail, that one's totally cool. I'm chill with that one.
I still have trouble with that one. It's like kind of precise in the end, and I think it's because the loading times of like objects is based on your hardware. It makes the skips and breakouts slightly different on each PC because depending how fast the objects loads in for you, you have to like kind of do it differently. So sometimes you have to pause buffer because if you don't pause buffer, the objects don't have time to load in, or they load in too fast.
Yeah, it's kind of weird if you go through and you watch everybody who runs this. Everybody has sort of different setups for these breakouts. Like people find the one that is the most comfortable and still saves the most time, and then they just kind of rock with it because they're like, it works for me, why would I change it? Why would I break it if it works? And I definitely do that too. There's some setups that I spend a little bit more time with than maybe would be optimal, but it's like it works 100% of the time when I do that, so why would I change it? Speedrunners are really stubborn.
It's really cool to watch runners because everyone does them differently. Everyone has their own setups how they do the breakouts. I see mostly people do like front-facing breakouts, but I do like 180s where I look at the opposite direction and do the breakout because I find them consistent. So it's a lot of fun to like go through the streams and see, like he's doing it like this, and like kind of like think about like, can we make it better or easier somehow? You do learn a lot doing this run if you watch other streamers, because you're like, wow, I didn't realize that you could look to the right. I'm gonna try that and see if it works better than my method. And then you look to the right and you're like, wow, that was the key. That was what I was missing. Coming up to Pyramid Head, our boy.
This is going to be a pretty quick fight. He's not going to be around for very long. So we're just going to dodge here, and then I'm just going to spam chainsaw into him. And he's interrupting our chainsaw swings, which actually speeds things up a little bit. And that's the fight. Done.
I figured out like a couple of weeks ago that there's a frame perfect input. If you pause and interact with the Pyramid Head door, you can skip the cutscene while you're in menu, and it affects the Pyramid Head's AI, but only above 60 FPS. So he starts actually walking towards the door where you want the Pyramid Head to go. But it's a frame perfect input, and it saves you like 2 seconds from just like interacting the door itself. But like if you miss the frame perfect window, then you might actually lose time because you might be on your menu or not have even interacted with the door.
Yeah, we've added like a good amount of like, oh, this is like super toxic. Like you would never want to do this on a PB pace. But like then we start doing it on PB paces and we get mad when it doesn't work. It's like, that's just the way.
Yeah, actually, every cutscene that we're gonna like run into, if you pause at the same frame when the cutscene starts, you can skip the cutscene while you're in your menu, and it might have some like weird like interactions with the game. Sometimes it's like might skip like holding like an animation that Jim's like looks at the item, like a key item, and you can like turn it around. Like if you can menu. If you're in menu while that happens, it just skips the animation. And technically, it saves like 2 seconds. But that's a frame perfect input you have to get every time. So do you want to really go for that?
I ain't doing it yet. Not worth it. So this is Maria. She's not your Mary. We think she's our wife, but she's not our wife. She's kind of our wife, but she looks different. And, it's play the game. You'll figure it out.
Let's go.
But Maria's going to be tagging along for actually a bit longer than like she normally would. We're going to be doing some funky stuff really quick, and this section is actually probably one of the bigger sort of traversal time saves, because we're not going to be, there's this whole like section where you have to run away from some monsters. God, it's been so long since I even did it. You run away from some monsters, you go into Heaven's Night, and then you run outside, you go through a little courtyard, and then you get to the movie theater. We're going to be doing only the get to the movie theater part, pretty much. So we're going to come up to here, and so far if you've seen the run before, this looks totally normal, nothing weird. It's what we do after we collect the dog key. Just fumbling my puzzles of all things. Could you imagine? Oh no. She's fine.
Okay, I'm fine.
So we're actually going to reload here. That's like, I think the only time in the run that you're going to see me really actually reload. Every other time I reload, it's canceled by the breakout tech. So
Just down this way.
yeah, we only get one, the first 2 ammo pickups, and then the one that we got in the Pyramid Head fight, and that's actually it. That's the only pistol ammo that we need for the whole run, and we don't even really need it for the ammo. We just kind of need it so that we have something to reload with.
Yeah, we only need ammo actually for any fight. We need 3 bullets. For
yeah,
that,
we need 3 bullets.
it.
That's true. Yeah, that's actually it. So yeah, we just got the other half of the dog key. Normally, I would run to the right if we were doing a restricted run. However, we are not going the normal way, and I'm gonna do a safety save here, because if I mess this up, it's like, I think like 3 minutes to run back to where we were. So I am not gonna risk this one.
And if you miss it at the theater, you're gonna go back like 6 minutes. So
yeah,
James?
that's true. We also have the theater skip. Also,
So
some
we're
little
gonna-
dialogue there.
It's like you froze.
we're gonna see a different type of breakout here. We're gonna do the combining the dog key part, so it's gonna affect the upcoming breakout.
Yeah, if you want to explain how the item breakouts work while I do it.
So what you're gonna see that he's gonna go to his inventory and combine the dog key. And if we do this while we're in breakout, we get this weird state where you can move James while you're in the breakout. And by doing that, oh nice, he got it. By doing that, the James will start looking at the key item, and we can still perform the breakout without having to do the reload, quick turn thing. So you're going to see that he runs to a certain position and looks the way he wants to go, and he's going to press interaction and W, and he will straight dash to that direction, which makes us able to go longer distances without having to do the breakout. So it's more consistent, it's easier, it saves a little. It takes a little bit more time, but because it's so consistent and it helps, and you have to combine the dock key at some point, we're just gonna go ahead and do it there.
Yeah. And now we're at the movie theater. So yeah, fortunately, there's some like triggers that deload all the obstacles that would otherwise be in our way, which is why you saw me in that little hut for a little while. And I am going to watch this cutscene because it has the funniest side effect from the skip we did. So normally Maria is here talking to James. This is kind of a canon skip, right?
Yeah, this is lore accurate because lore accurate skip.
The camera. I love that the camera cuts and nobody's there. And James is just like, yeah. So yeah, that's one of the unintended side effects of some of these skips is that we are like leaving or taking characters into places that they're not supposed to be. There is a skip here that saves 5 seconds. It's incredibly toxic. It's incredibly difficult. I'll do one attempt at it, and if we fail, or even remotely, if it looks even remotely bad, we abandon ship, and we don't do that.
We kind of meme about it. They're like, are we gonna go for the theater skip? It saves you 5 seconds, but if you fail it, you lose 6 minutes.
So yeah, normally if we didn't have a checkpoint or didn't have a save, there is no checkpoint here, so it would send us all the way back to when we first met Maria.
Yep.
I do have an emergency plan if things go tragically wrong, but no, we're not going for it.
Yeah.
Nah. So if I did the theater skip, we would have gone sort of to the right out that window, and we would have dropped back into the theater where Eddie was, and then we would have come out that door right there, and we would be right in here. So it saves 5 seconds, and it also breaks Laura, and it makes her just stand by the door. She doesn't react when James runs up to her. Which is funny. The cutscene still triggers, but Laura just stands there. And I learned yesterday that if you push Laura around, you can actually move her. She has pathing. So if you like push her into a corner, she'll actually path all the way out of the door when you do trigger the cutscene. It's really weird.
I actually didn't know that either.
Yeah. I did it the other day. I was like, whoa, like why does she have pathing? I thought she was just gonna like run straight ahead and then disappear. So, hospital. This is not where we would normally go for a hospital. Normally, we would have to get the key to then go into the basement, and that's where we kind of ditch Maria after the basement. We're not going to do any of that. We're going to come over here. We're going to do another item breakout setup. We're going to go through this wall, and we have skipped the basement. We are now in the hospital proper, and we did not go to the basement at all, which is sick because the basement is probably one of the biggest run killers in restricted and the other categories, just because there's a lot of enemies that can grab you. There's a lot of body blocking that can happen. And so now we're in the hospital proper, and you're like, oh, cool. So now he's gonna go get like the bracelets and do all that. No. We're not doing any of that. That takes a lot of time. So you're gonna see me clip out here. Goodbye, James. And we're gonna give it a few seconds. It doesn't take that long.
Yeah, it's not fine.
I think that's good.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, it's good.
So we are now in a different state called airwalk state. And you might notice something kind of interesting about airwalk state. In this state, we have no collision. We can walk through everything. Walls have absolutely no meaning. And we have to go to 30 FPS for this trick. The problem is we can't interact with stuff. So we need that key item right there. However, because we can't interact with anything, that's kind of a problem. So the real breakthrough in this part was actually founded by XC and a few other people, right?
Yeah, Birch, me, and on Trigger.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for the deload here so that the actual hitbox for the item that we need, which I need to look at with my camera to make this actually work, appears. It takes about 13 seconds from the time that everything disappears. We should probably be good. I'm sort of hoping I can showcase... oh, yeah. Bye, Maria. Maria's not even supposed to be with us in this section. Normally, she gets a headache and she leaves after the basement. However, because we skipped everything, she's actually still with us. Which, again, it's weird that like she would even respawn in this section of the hospital. She's not supposed to be here in any circumstance. So again, waiting 13 seconds for the deload to happen. You could technically do this with the game unpaused. However, the game goes by IGT, which is load removed. So we pause. We don't lose any time effectively. Now we're gonna come over here, and now we get to interact with this. And
That skip works because there's 3 states of objects. There's loaded in, then there's loaded not visible, and then there's unloaded. And when the objects first disappear, they become loaded not visible. But after 13 seconds of not being loaded not visible, they become unloaded. And we want to go inside the area facing the interactions. And when we do that, for some reason, they spawn back. The interactions will spawn back in and become visible for us, so we can interact with them again. But it requires the objects to be close enough to the border of the arena, so we can make them visible again.
Yeah.
And to leave the airwalking state, Nyiddle had to load his save, and otherwise we couldn't leave the airwalking state. But because he loaded his save, that happened after picking up the key. James will be able to run normally again, and he's no longer a skinwalker.
Yeah. Should also mention the airwalk state. It's a really weird thing. I didn't do anything special necessarily to do it. We just went out of bounds and then waited for stuff to deload. There's another area that you can do it in the hospital that you can do in the new game speedrun. However, unfortunately, that trigger does not work in New Game Plus. I'm just going to do a quick reload here because it resets Fleshlip's AI, and this is going to be a pretty fast fight. Give him 2 chainsaws, he's going to go back up. There's a faster setup for this, but I have not had any luck with it lately, so we're just going safe. And hopefully, there we go. Got him. And that's Fleshlip's.
There's actually a case, I think it's in Intel CPUs, 13K Intel CPUs, that if you don't reload there, there's a chance that the Fleshlip goes up and doesn't come back down. So that's why you want to especially reload. I haven't seen it happen on AMD CPUs, but I've seen it happen with Intel CPUs.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me. Yeah, there's a few quirks that are very hardware dependent in this game. So now we're done with the hospital. I know we didn't really do anything, did we? And we're gonna do even less for the Otherworld hospital. We're just straight out of here. We do not need to do anything here. So this is kind of a tough skip. If I mess it up, there was a checkpoint earlier, so we can just reload it. It's been a little bit of trouble for me lately. I'm hoping we can just chill and get it. Nice.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
That was a good one. You need to show this one as well.
The angle looked weird, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so this right now we're in a weird unloaded state. The Otherworld streets don't exist, so Laura's just running into the void. We have to reload the Otherworld streets, and in order to do that, all we have to do is hit a trigger over here. So we just skipped the entire Otherworld hospital. We didn't do a single thing, which is super rad. There was an original skip that was found that could do that in a way farther spot. It was like you had to clip through one wall, and then you had to climb a ladder, and then you had to go somewhere else, and it was just way longer. And I don't remember who. It might have been you, XC, found the, you were like, hey, did you know that there's a window right here that you can use to get to the spot that we need to go?
No. It was actually you complaining about it to me. You were like, oh my god, this is so annoying and so inconsistent. I was like, oh, I'll just go take a look. And 10 minutes after telling you that, I was like, oh, Nyiddle, I found a new one. I found a better one.
That's so funny. Actually, a lot of my complaining to XC, I'm like, I really hate this. I don't like the way this works, man. I know it's a good skip. I know you found it. By the way, this is gonna be lucky right here. I'm like, I know this is a good skip. I know you found it, but the method just sucks. This is not viable for runs, you know? And XC, he would go to the lab and cook, or sometimes he would have a dream. He would lay in bed for a little while and then come back and be like, I just thought of something. I have to test it out. And then come back to me with a clip of here's the most consistent way that you can do this. And it happened probably 4 or 5 times. Just the dude can cook.
Yeah. I do want to mention about that car that you just pushed. We actually have a one way to force a crash in the game, and it's a hard crash. The game just shuts down. If you do breakout, but you attack and interact at the same time when you grab the card, the game just crashes. It's a weird thing that it happens, but like it just crashes and you have to restart the game.
It's a good like party trick if you ever want to, if your friend's playing Silent Hill 2 for the first time and you want to like freak them out, just do a quick breakout at the cart, crash the game, and be like, oh, it's haunted.
Haunted copy.
So Otherworld Streets, we really don't have too much we could do. Even if we could get into like an airwalk state or something like that, we would still just have to run this distance anyway, and it's not really possible due to the way things load in anyway.
Yeah, the loading zones in Otherworld Streets are huge. There's no way for us to like get out of the loading zone. And even if we could, there's no place for us to go back in bounds because we cannot make a save anywhere. And there's no auto saves, I think, in any like close vicinity of a wall. Because so even airwalk in here is not really useful. So this is actually one of the longest sections in the game right now.
Yeah, for now.
For now.
There's just a quick breakout here. It's pretty minor.
So it's a good bunch of time.
Yeah.
It is slightly scary because that enemy over there can affect it, and you might actually go inside a wall. But
yeah, there's a giant chasm in the earth in the street behind us, and I had a run the other day where I was trying to get all fancy with it, and I did an extra breakout at that window, and I just yeeted myself straight into the pit. It was like. It was pretty comedic, but from a, man, that was a good pace, RIP sort of standpoint, it really was not optimal.
Here's another like breakout that will save like 15 seconds, but if you fail this one, this window climb over here, it's an autosave. So if you fail it, you are hard locked if you go inside a wall.
Yeah, and the last autosave we had actually was, other than that one, would be Otherworlds, when we first got to the Otherworld Streets, pretty much.
Yeah, I think the key when you pick that one up.
Yeah, so it's a long walk. So now we're getting a letter, we're getting a wrench, that's all great. If you played the OG, this is kind of like a twist on what you do in the OG. In the OG, you get a wrench, and you go to a box to open with the wrench. In this, they were like, you know what? It actually makes more sense if the box is just open and you use the wrench on a door, because like the box in Silent Hill 2 OG, it's like bolted to the earth, like to dirt. Like it's not bolted into anything, so it kind of doesn't make sense. Like you could just slide the box out and then dig around it. But yeah, use the wrench on this.
There's actually going to be a longer while when that nothing really new happens. This is just going to be like a casual walk until prison. Yeah, we have more.
Pretty much. Yeah, this is the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
This is like when you're on PB pace and you're running through here. This is always like the part where you start overthinking. And you're like, oh man, I don't want to mess it up at prison.
Yeah, this one is a lot of like there's like a slight break that you have, and then there's like a lot of breakouts that can go wrong. There's like soft lock and then a calm, and then soft lock and a calm. Yeah. Like you're like balancing out between two states of the run like all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a cool part of the game. This cutscene did not exist in the OG. They added it to develop Angela's character a little bit more, which I thought was pretty cool. Pretty nice. Remember, it was a surprise on first play. I was like, what does she do? But it's also funny. We have like barely seen these side characters. We have skipped quite a number of cutscenes between sort of Maria, Eddie, Angela. Did we skip any cutscenes?
Yeah, well, you can skip a cutscene with Angela in Otherworld Apartments. So there's a way to skip the cutscene, but we don't do it because it doesn't save you time. It actually loses you time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't see other like characters until we see Laura. If you don't like count the first when you meet Angela at the graveyard.
Yeah, that one's forced. Yeah, you can't avoid that one. Unless. No.
Okay.
There is like a really early breakout that you can do without even having the what's it called, the pistol. You can do it way back in the repair shop. I think it saves like a second. There's like we got some crazy runners in the Silent Hill 2 remake community. So everybody's going for like swag. Like we have some real like style points where it's like I don't even think that saves time, but man, that looked really cool, didn't it?
Yeah. There's another one called Egos Mania, and I go to him like, oh, I found this like tech that saves 2 time, but it's really inconsistent, and like I will go for it. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it.
yeah. He's like, I gotta figure it out. Yeah. So we're just on our way to the prison, or the historical society, and then the prison.
Yeah, the prison is gonna be a big one. That's the largest skip that was like a community of to find out. I would like to thank Savitru and On Trigger for the help with the prison skip.
Yeah, On Trigger and Savitru definitely laid a lot of the groundwork for how that one works. You'll see in a bit, but it's quite complicated. We're going to be doing 3 breakouts, sort of back to back to back, and it's finished with a kind of a crazy out of bounds where we're going to skip a whole lot of stuff. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't want to spoil it too much.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it. So for now, we're just dashing down the staircase. We got the space cow in the background. I've always wanted to time it and see if this is the exact same length of time as the Silent Hill 2 OG one.
Yeah. So dashing down the downstairs and upstairs generally saves time. It's faster than just running down.
Yeah, probably should have mentioned that sooner. There is also a melee dash tech that you can do. It only really works with the plank or the pipe. It does not work with the chainsaw. And there's been some debate. It probably saves enough time over the course of the run that it's worth doing, but it's like it takes like 20 seconds just to get the plank, and then you're working at a 20-second deficit to kind of make that time back by doing the movement tech correctly, and then you have to do it for the whole run. And so at the moment, I'm like I don't know if the time it saves is worth the struggle. And then we would also have to switch back out to the chainsaw for every single boss fight, all 2 of them.
Yeah, back and forth all the time. No one has really timed it how much time it saves. I think it's very close. I think it does save time, but it's not really fun thing to do either.
Yeah.
Like plank boosting is generally people don't find it enjoyable.
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's a minor time save when you get it right, but if you chain it together for the entire run, it saves a lot. And if you mess it up even once, you've kind of cost all of the time that you were attempting to save. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to be confident in it before you implement it. So coming up on our only RNG here, there is a skip for the bug room. However, the skip, if done correctly, is still slower than getting a first try bug room.
Yeah.
I do like to gamble. Oh, second try. All right,
second try.
Oh, but this guy's totally in the way. Oh my god. All right, what a meme. Well, we got a good bug room, but that guy was totally problematic. The way the bug room skip works basically is you bait that enemy into the room right as you pick up the key, and he actually very politely holds the door open for you, and it buys you just enough time that you can backwards dodge out of the room without having to enter the code. But you have to stand there for like a few seconds before the enemy comes into the room. So I've always said, like, if you can get first or second try, it's definitely faster than the bug room skip.
Yeah, it is faster.
So here we go. These are the 3 biggest skips in the run. The 3 skips I am frankly the most worried about.
The first one isn't too bad. We're gonna see Nyiddle like go through this window, and we need to make our way upstairs first.
Yeah, first one's pretty chill. We get to see James's movement on it. Oh wait, hang on. There we go.
Okay, nice. That's looking good. You can see James is like making his way.
No. We got distracted by the enemy. So that's a good example, honestly. We haven't seen it till now, but that's a good example of what... Okay. What? Iframes.
Yeah, the moves.
Yeah, that's a good example of what can happen if an enemy's in your way. You saw James just kind of like orbited around the enemy. That can really mess up all of your breakouts. It can happen on pretty much any of them where there's an enemy nearby. That's why we usually try and keep enemies away when we set these up. That was nice.
Yeah, that was good. There's gonna be another enemy here that we are gonna have to kill.
Yep.
This one otherwise follows you, and this one is actually really scary. This one is really precise. Let's see if he gets it on the first try. We're gonna have to go. Oh, nice.
Let's go.
That's a good
All
one.
right.
So we're gonna
Now we can
see.
chill out a little bit.
It's gonna
As we
kill
get an
out the
autosave.
Yeah, we're gonna go actually high contrast mode here because on this upcoming breakout, you have to be able to see when the camera starts moving to the right back to James, because we're gonna be going out of bounds, but still kind of out of bounds, but kind of in bounds. So let's see. He's gonna pull out the map because this, like I said, is very precise tech. We actually have to find like one of the first pixels to interact with the wall. We're gonna see him run over here and find the tech. And there we go. We're gonna wait for the camera to move back to James, and when that happens, we're gonna... Nice, okay. It's still not done, so this is the backup tech. Getting...
I might be too
you can
far
get...
left.
I know, you're
we're
fine.
good. Nice.
Nice, good job. So that's a backup spec. Like, you can make it instantly here, but if you go on that ledge, we can deload and load back the zone in while we're on the dash, so we get around this. Now we're outside the hangman's area, and Nyiddle is going to run to the other side because there's a trigger that goes through the whole hangman's area, but we can reach it from this side of the map, but not the other side. And this trigger spawns in the maze, it spawns in Abstract Daddy, and it spawns in Eddie boss fight. And what we're gonna do now that we have all of that stuff spawned, it's actually located below this arena, and we're gonna be void falling over there.
Yeah.
So he's gonna.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move forward here, and we're gonna do a little pause, and then I'm gonna need to count to 34. So I do need to kind of concentrate so that I don't miscount. It's happened. But yeah, this is pretty precise, and we need to land at a very specific spot here. So you can count at home if you want. Count in the chat. No, the mods will hate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and then we do 1 to the right. And now we do a little pause buffer and a little bit of pray.
Yep.
I did count right there, right?
I'm pretty sure you did. I wasn't counting with you. We'll see if you missed it.
Hey!
Oh,
let's
nice.
go.
We got it. Yeah,
Sweet.
nice. So,
Okay.
So we have to drop here because there's another trigger over here that's gonna check. If you don't run through this, the Eddie fight itself doesn't spawn in. So
Yeah.
you have to.
So
we have to
just to
go through this
reiterate
corridor.
what happened, we skipped from the beginning of prison without picking up a single weight, a single key item, a single puzzle. We didn't do anything. All the way to the Eddie fight. This skip saves 28 minutes on the run. It's the single biggest skip. It's honestly, it might be the single biggest skip in a game that I've ever speedran. It's huge. It involves 3 very precise back-to-back sort of skips, and I'm really glad we got it as clean as we did. That was rad. So I'm going to do a little reload here. You're going to see me go into Borderlands graphics mode. This is one of the graphics filters in the game. I discovered a while ago that if you go into this filter, it just removes all the fog. So normally in this arena, you can't see from one side to the other. There's just a ton of fog in the way. And it just helps us be able to locate Eddie a little bit easier. We're going to get to see him spawn in because without the fog here, it reveals all the secrets of how Eddie spawns back in. I am extremely relieved that prison sequence went well. That is like by far the most nerve-wracking part of the run, without a doubt. Waiting for Eddie to spawn here. I can see you. No, you can't.
Yeah, that really skip in general. It also saves us from having to deal with Hangman's RNG. There's a big RNG check there. It is really complex and hard, but like as the runners have got better, I've seen people get more consistent with it. Some people now even go like forward facing, so they don't do the map tech or like item tech there. They just like instantly send it and they hit it. Like people have got really good with breakouts, and doing it like instantly, we can actually like perform this prison skip in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I think that's the fastest I've gotten it, and that's really fast if you compare it to like having to go all the way around it, taking 26 minutes. And casual playthrough, that's like multiple hours of content skip.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because when the breakout stuff was first discovered, I remember we were routing prison very differently because we had found a way to do prison where instead of returning to that center hub room where you have to put the weights on the weight statue, you could actually go break out and get into all of the rooms to get all of the weight puzzles, and then don't go into that room until the very end. So like basically have all the weights already, and then you just go to the puzzle and sort of do the last solution. And that was pretty cool. I was pretty proud of that. I worked on that quite a bit. And then XC was like, dude, prison is out. Like, it's gone. It's done skis. And pretty wild.
Savi also found out before we found out this whole skip that like if we like failed the hangman's puzzle, we got like below the section below the hangman's, and we were able to do the same skip from there, but that's slower because you have to still get all the weights. But now we don't get any weights, we just send it instantly. It's really fast, and it's been actually kind of fun to like look how the run has progressed, how people have came up with new ideas, and how we've actually made it like faster and faster, like found more better solutions to the troubles we've had. We still have like couple troubles in total that we are still kind of looking at, but haven't still found anything.
It's always fun in like a run that gets a major tech like this, or like an out of bounds or something like that, because it kind of throws everything else into question. It's like, well, we always did prison in this order and this order, but now we don't need to do that. And like, you know, like certain parts of apartments, it's like, oh wait, like we don't need to go there because we're just skipping that entirely, you know? So yeah, it's watching this run evolve from like where it was 3 or 4 months ago to now has just been totally crazy. And yeah, I really just have everybody in the community to thank, because I came up with a few things here and there, but man, like XC, On Trigger, Zorro, Egos Mania, Savi, Burke, a lot of people in the Silent Hill 2 community put in a ton of work. I mean, I know XC like racked up like 200 hours in this game in like a week or something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot. It wasn't too much, to be honest.
Yeah, went from like really not playing the game at all to wow, I now understand how like load triggers work and like how to deload and reload the map and stuff.
Yeah, it felt hours before this.
Yeah.
This hodl is actually really fun because we play differently depending on if you're New Game Plus or New Game. Because in New Game Plus, there's an extra trigger right at the end of the hodl that if it wasn't there, we could skip the entirety of the hodl. But because there's an extra trigger, we cannot skip it. But on New Game, this trigger doesn't exist, so we can just skip the hodl. Like, we don't have to do any of the music box puzzles or anything. We just have to get the key and the tape, and that's it.
Yeah, it's there was a theory that Bliss ending could actually be the fastest ending. I think it would be if we could find a way to hit that trigger. So it would change New Game Plus drastically, where we would be doing Bliss ending instead of Dog ending. However, I don't know if there's a way past that trigger. Unfortunately, it'd be really cool. It'd be sick. So yeah, if you've ever seen how the hotel is usually done, it's a pretty specific, pretty optimized sequence in like Restricted. We are deviating heavily from that route. We are not doing things in the same order because we are, because we are going to be skipping pretty much the entire elevator section, which is kind of funny because we also kind of skipped the majority of the elevator section in the OG. And we also skipped Abstract Daddy in the OG. So in a weird way, like the Silent Hill 2 remake has kind of come around to being equally as broken, if not far more broken than the OG Silent Hill 2, which is pretty sweet. Yeah,
we're actually gonna see the skip really soon after we're done with this mirror puzzle and pick up a key. That skip is actually, I think it's one of the coolest skips in the, like, what we have, like with prison skip. It's really simple, but like the combination of it, what you do, it just looks like really flashy.
Yeah, and what's funny is there was another out of bounds that effectively did the same thing, and there was quite a bit of back and forth on like, well, which way is faster, and it was sort of discovered that this was the most optimal order to kind of do it.
Yeah.
This is a hard skip though. I should throw it out there.
And the other out of bounds, we actually go below the map, and we run to a certain place where we go back inside the map. And once the game is like, when James is like out of the map, he's like, it's not gonna load in. But when the game realizes, oh, James is like over here, I need to spawn in this place, it spawns in, and James is just gonna actually stand in there. In new game, we still do the out of bounds where we go below the map. But on New Game Plus, we do this one.
Yeah. This setup's a little sketchy. Sometimes I struggle with it. Hoping it could be cool.
Let's see how it goes. Nice. Got the first
Like
one.
that. So we are now in the basement, at the end of the basement. And let me just make sure I'm aiming. That should be good, right? Yeah.
Nice. That was the last breakout of the game, actually.
That is the last breakout. I could finally breathe. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I should mention, so that clip from the balcony into the basement, I actually discovered that was like day one of us experimenting with breakout, and that was, if you want to see a pop off, there's a clip on my channel. But yeah, I said out loud, I was like, I wonder if there's a way where we can get from like the second floor directly into the basement. Man, that would be so cool. And then I went over to that balcony and I did it. And just by coincidence, I landed in the right spot. And I popped off so hard, I did a lap around my house. I scared the cats. Yeah, it's really cool that something that I originally found is now definitely useful in the run.
Yeah. It was actually kind of funny because how that works is that when James is on the second floor, the game deloads everything below James and above James, and it only loads in the room you are. So because we are not in the basement, there's no collisions. But when we jump off and drop there, the game is like, oh, James is like at the basement now, so it spawns in the basement around you.
Yeah, it's really fortunate that it works like that. Because I was expecting that like you see that whole like little patio area, it's made out of brick. I was expecting that all to have collision, but
yeah,
fortunately, yeah, it's just like a fake roof. Like you can just fall through it. There is a setup that's harder for that, but I'm not crazy enough for it.
It's actually funny because everywhere else it's actually like solid floor, but just that one place with the brakes, like there's nothing there.
They knew. Bluebird knew.
Yeah,
they knew we were going to use that. So Mandarin boss fight, bit of a meme, just a little bit of a meme. We do actually have one more breakout, one minor one.
Oh yeah, one minor. Oh, Intel CPU.
Yeah, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so we figure out that. Actually not.
Oh, what?
So.
Oh, so jinxed. Oh, I'm just going. Oh my god.
I don't know. I didn't hear him walk. I didn't hear one walk up.
That is actually insane. Okay, wow. So normally, that Mandarin just completely ignores me. It stands there. I've sat there for like minutes, and it just doesn't do anything. That is actually crazy that this time it attacked me. I do have a heal, right? Yeah. Okay. Healthy James, he's fine.
So I think we think it's based on CPU because every AMD runner that we have has never had like a Mandarin stuck. He always runs to us and like bothers us. But like the couple of the Intel CPU runners keep having this bug where Mandarin just stays still and doesn't move. And that actually removes RNG from the run and makes it faster because like the Mandarin can actually really lose you a lot of time. He can lose you up to like 20 seconds if he just decides to like keep attacking you.
Yeah, that hit as you're breaking the wall can literally kill a run on pace.
Yeah, so if you run this game, be on an Intel processor and 13K.
Yeah, 13. Use the most cursed CPU known to man, the 13th gen. That's what I'm repping. This CPU is crazy.
We're about to hit the time, by the way.
Yeah, we are almost at the end of the run. Time will be as soon as we insert the key into the dog door. And coming up right here. That is time. GG.
Nice run.
GG.
Should
Only
mention
one.
the original dog ending is in Japanese because the developers were in Japanese. Bloober is a Polish team, so the dog ending is actually in Polish, which I thought, gosh, it's pretty cute.
Honestly, that was a really solid run.
Not bad at all. Yeah.
Veg Pravda.
Veg Pravda, man.
Taking in consideration there was only one softlock.
Yeah.
In the other apartments, usually there's a lot more. Like this is a really reset-heavy run, sadly, because there's so many ways to mess up the tech, but it's still a lot of fun. Like it's fun to do the breakouts. It's flashy. It's cool.
Yeah, running this has been a real treat in the last few months. Aw, poor James. Too bad. But yeah, GG's. I want to see. We killed 10 enemies in the whole game. It's almost a pacifist run. Ek, I just want to say thanks so much for having me, man. Thanks for letting me showcase this run. This is the very first time we've had it shown anywhere. I think I'm the first one to do it in a marathon setting.
That you are.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that it went as smooth as it did. That was pretty much as good as it could have gone from how I imagined. But yeah, if you want to check me out, if you want more Silent Hill 2 Remake speedrun content, I also play a lot of RE7, sometimes do Ocarina of Time randomizer stuff. You can check me out on Twitch. I also have a YouTube where I upload all my PBs and highlights and live VODs and stuff. And I'm live almost every day. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for that run. If you did enjoy this run of Silent Hill 2, you can find Nyiddle's stream in the chat. It should be linked there, and he does a lot of horror stuff. Sometimes it's silly, sometimes it's more serious, like this. The man's done Goosebumps, Silent Hill, Ghostwire Tokyo, and the like. So you can definitely go check him out at that link there.